Tonight you'll swallow about 600 times without thinking about it, but every single one is a near miss. And the reason why is the same reason you can talk. Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is dying because a piece of food went down the wrong pipe. In the United States alone, around 5,000 people choke to death every year. It's one of the leading causes of accidental death in adults over 65. And here is the strange part. Almost no other animal on Earth dies this way. Your dog doesn't. Your cat doesn't. A chimpanzee can gulp down a fistful of fruit while screaming at another chimp and never miss a beat. A newborn human baby can nurse and breathe at the same time without any trouble at all. But you, the adult human, cannot. Something happened to your throat, something nothing else on this planet has. The answer changes everything you think about your own body, because the flaw that's trying to kill you at dinner is the exact same flaw that lets you say the word dinner. Most people assume choking is just bad luck, a piece of steak, a bad cough, a sip of water down the wrong way. But that's not quite right. The real answer is far stranger. Choking isn't a glitch. It's the price of admission for being human. To see why, you have to look at the throat of almost any other mammal. In a dog, a cat, a horse, a chimp, even a human infant in the first months of life, the larynx, the voice box, sits high up in the throat, tucked right behind the back of the tongue. The soft palate at the roof of the mouth actually overlaps with the top of the larynx, almost like two interlocking tubes. Air has its own private highway from the nose down into the lungs. Food has its own private highway from the mouth down into the stomach. The two roads barely cross. That's why a puppy can chew a bone and breathe at the same time. That's why a baby can drink milk for 20 minutes straight without coming up for air. The plumbing is separated. Now look at your throat. Somewhere between the ages of about 3 months and 4 years, your larynx did something no other mammal's larynx does. It dropped. It descended down into your neck, several centimeters lower than where it started. The clean separation broke. The soft palate pulled back from the top of the larynx, and suddenly your mouth and your nose and your windpipe all dumped into one shared open chamber called the pharynx, a single intersection. Food and air now use the same road. Every time you swallow, a tiny flap called the epiglottis has to slam shut over your windpipe at exactly the right millisecond. If it's late, if it's lazy, if you laugh at the wrong moment, the food takes the wrong exit, and you can die in 4 minutes. The researcher who spent his career mapping this was Philip Lieberman, a cognitive scientist at Brown University. Starting in the late 1960s, Lieberman and his collaborator Edmund Kraelin reconstructed the vocal tracts of fossil humans and compared them to modern infants, modern adults, and other primates. Their conclusion, refined over decades, was that the descended larynx is essentially unique to adult humans, and it doesn't just make us choke, it does something incredible. It creates a long two-tube resonating chamber, one horizontal tube in the mouth, one vertical tube in the throat, meeting at a sharp right angle. That right angle shape is what lets you produce the full range of vowel sounds. The E in C, the A in father, the U in boot. These are called the quantal vowels, and they're the building blocks of every spoken language on Earth. A chimp's flat, high-set vocal tract physically cannot make them. Yours can, because your throat dropped. So, here is the trade. Your ancestors gave up a safe, separated airway. In exchange, they got the ability to produce roughly 50 distinct speech sounds per second, with enough acoustic variety that another human across a campfire could decode them as words. That's the bargain. Vowels for vulnerability, conversation for choking. Every word you've ever spoken, every joke, every apology, every I love you, rides on the same anatomical rebuild that makes a piece of chicken a potential murder weapon. And the evidence that this was the trade is everywhere in your own development. Anthropologist Jeffrey Laitman at Mount Sinai mapped the timeline carefully. A newborn human is born with a high larynx, just like a chimp. That's why babies can breathe and feed at the same time and almost never choke on milk. Then, between about 3 months and 2 years, the larynx starts its slow descent. And right around the same window, what else starts happening? Babbling, first words. The vocal apparatus is literally reshaping itself to make speech possible, and the price is that the child now has to learn to swallow carefully for the rest of their life. Look at the timeline of toddler choking deaths and you'll see the curve track the descent of the larynx almost exactly. Hot dogs, grapes, hard candy, the leading killers, only become dangerous after the throat has rebuilt itself for talking. Now here's the twist. For a long time, researchers thought this was a uniquely modern human story, that Neanderthals, with their slightly different skull shape, couldn't quite manage the full vowel space, and that's why we won and they lost. But more recent work, including studies by Tecumseh Fitch at the University of Vienna and a major 2019 paper looking at the hyoid bones of Neanderthals, suggests their larynxes had probably descended too. They were almost certainly capable of speech, which means the choking trait is older than our species. It's older than language as you know it. Some ancestor, maybe 2 million years ago, started slowly dropping its larynx, generation by generation, and the ones who could make slightly better sounds had slightly more children, and the ones who choked at the wrong moment didn't. We are the descendants of the survivors of a million-year-long swallowing test. And it gets stranger. Fitch and others have shown that the descended larynx might not have been only about speech. Lowering the voice box also lowers the pitch of your voice, making you sound bigger than you are. Red deer do something similar when they bellow. They yank their larynx down to fake a larger body. So part of why your throat is shaped this way may have nothing to do with words at all. It may be that some early ancestor was just trying to sound intimidating, and once the larynx was low enough, the vowel space opened up almost by accident and language colonized the new real estate. Speech may be a side effect of a bluff. Either way, you are stuck with the result. Every meal, every sip, every laugh with food in your mouth, you are running a quiet risk that almost no other creature on Earth runs. The Heimlich maneuver, invented by Henry Heimlich in 1974, exists only because of one specific evolutionary detour your throat took. There is no canine Heimlich. There is no chimp Heimlich. They don't need one. So, the next time you're at dinner and someone says something funny and you feel that little catch in your throat, the moment of panic before the cough clears it, notice what just happened. Your body asked you to choose, in a fraction of a second, between breathing and speaking. It is a choice your ancestors made for you 2 million years ago, and they chose speaking. They chose the word over the breath. They chose being able to tell each other stories around a fire, even if it meant some of them would die at that fire mid-sentence, because a piece of meat went the wrong way. You are the descendant of the ones who got the sentence out. Chew slowly. And maybe, every once in a while, when you say something that matters to someone you love, remember what it cost to be able to say it at all.